We have a lot of material to cover today, largely on account of the IPE day. We'll start with habits. Habits are learned modes responding to drives. It starts with a stimulus, and then through a compulsive tendency, there's a response. We're going to talk about meaningful habits and empty habits. Meaningful habits refer to thumb sucking or a habit from an emotional need. Empty habits, the need is absent, but the habit persists. So, examples of what I mean by that is that we have Johnny. Johnny is 5 years old. He's led a very sheltered life, no brothers, no sisters, very little social interaction. So Johnny is a real homebody, and he's going to preschool in 2 days. Johnny is terrified going to preschool. So he developed this anxiety and took on a thumb-sucking habit from an emotional need. On with life. That is a meaningful habit. On with life, Johnny does well in school. He's adapted quite well, has a normal, well-balanced social life, and he's a really good student. He ended up being valedictorian of his high school and college class, and he's off to his PhD program in immunology. Johnny, however, still has a thumb-sucking habit. He doesn't have any emotional problems, but the habit persists. It's just a stupid habit. That's the empty habit part of it. Habits associated with oral gratification are many, but we're going to focus on the thumb-sucking habit or finger-sucking habit. There's also miscellaneous habits that we won't dwell on or talk about. For example, what that means is an imitation or postural habit. Postural, maybe somebody has a deficient chin or retrognathic profile from that cartoon figure I showed early on, and he wants to show a powerful chin, so he juts his jaw forward. That's what we mean by a postural habit. Effective thumb sucking on dentition depends on, the damage depends on duration, frequency, and intensity. This is a likely quiz or test question or board question: duration, frequency, intensity. In general, there's not an absolute minute daily minimum, but we can say that maximum intensity of a habit is about 4 months old. Most thumb suckers start within 9 months old. 2 to 5 years old, the habit lessens, but it may increase with fatigue, sibling rivalry, parental need. So thumb sucking is very normal. When's the best time to address it? We'll talk about that later in the lecture. Occasional habit, little or no effect. Again, damage depends on duration, frequency, and intensity. If a child discontinues a habit before age 6, it will spontaneously correct in 75% of the cases with a competent lip musculature. It needs that lip seal to make everything go back. 12 years old, thumb and finger habits are no longer present in 95% of cases. However, this is one of the teenagers as part of the 5% that didn't stop. And yes, I do have teenagers who have finger habits. How do we treat finger habits? What I want from that patient is some indication that there's a willingness to quit. So in other words, somebody comes in with a finger habit the first day, and mom says, I heard from a dentist friend and from searching on the internet that there's these devices you can make for me So the first time I see the patient, I don't start right away taking an impression and sending it to the lab for a habit appliance that I'll show later in the lecture. What I want is some feedback from the patient. Do you want to stop? Yes, that's a really good sign. Look, at what I'm going to do is book you an appointment in maybe, a month or so, and I want you to really try to stop the habit. I need you to want to stop. If I hear, no, I don't have an indication that I don't want to stop, that's not a good sign, because what you're going to do is make this device, we don't talk about charges and fees in these courses too much, but there's a fee for that. So you're charging, let's say, a $500 fee, 100 of that is a lab bill, and the patient doesn't want to stop. They come back in 3 months, the habit is still there, and mom and dad could be kind of flaming mad at you because you didn't correct the habit. You want some kind of indication from the patient that the habit is no longer wanted and the child wants to stop. Anterior open bites are a concern to dentists, orthodontists, pediatricians, psychiatrists. You can get a similar malocclusion from a lip habit. In a thumb sucking habit, with this kind of diagram, what happens is that you get a V-shaped palate. Look where the thumb is. The thumb is your orthodontic appliance now. Maxillary incisors will flare in space. Mandibular incisors tip lingually. Because there's a stop between the anterior teeth don't erupt. Posterior teeth, because they're being held open with this thumb that's acting as an anterior bite plane, there's no contact. What did we say early on? Teeth want to hit something. Teeth want to hit teeth. Posterior teeth supra-erupt. All of the above will lead to an anterior dental open bite. Why a V-shaped palate? Because the thumb now is taking place of the tongue. In a normal swallow, the tongue goes to the palate and kind of squishes out, leading to a not V-shaped palate. That's normal. If the thumb replaces the tongue, there's not this squishing out effect, if you will, of tongue filling up the space on the palatal in the dentition. So that's why you have the V-shaped palate space. What's the cause of a